few weeks ago, we saw the cheaper, seemingly more powerful, and definitely more Chinese version of OpenAI, DeepSeek, and now we have Anthropic coming out claiming itself to be OpenAI but moral and constitutional, which means OpenAI is officially 6 feet under. Well, not really, but there has never been more hype for introducing some George Washington into the latest LLM models either, whatever that means. Oh, and it can also write you a bunch of error-free code, so your chances of unemployment just went up a bit. But let's procrastinate on the bad news with some of the more inconsequential stuff. Claude is Anthropic's answer to OpenAI, and while OpenAI uses something called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF, to learn, Anthropic decided to do things a bit differently. They built what they call a constitutional AI, focused on what they claim as making the AI ethical, which seems to be a big worry of a lot of people, given all the controversy surrounding the training of AI on a ton of unwilling people's stuff. In fact, you can even force the AI to think continuously with Claude's extended thinking mode, something that Anthropic used to train the AI differently, and something you can use directly in the AI itself. To be brief, Anthropic uses hybrid reasoning instead of the, I guess, traditional reasoning that AI uses, because it wanted to optimize for what LLMs are actually used for instead of a bunch of LeetCode code and computer science competition problems, which makes a lot more sense. They're giving Claude experience on its resume instead of more and more degrees is what they're really doing. Developers have found that because of this, Claude is really good at writing nearly error-free code on the first try, while GPT-4 is still bumbling around with nonsense answers that take a few rounds to get right. And this is the main technical selling point of the model. It can generate huge amounts of code almost error-free and that actually functions the way you want it to. In fact, with a program called Claude Code, not confusing at all, Claude can even access your code directly, where it can edit, test, play around with, and even commit to GitHub right on your computer. Anthropic's own engineers have said that this reduces workload that usually takes 45+ minutes to literally just a single task, which is pretty amazing. It can make games in the browser, it shows you its reasoning, and it can even do all of the work you don't have directly in the chat for you if you got into the program before it closed off. The difference is especially apparent in benchmark tests like Human Eval, where Claude scored around 84.9% compared to GPT-4's 67%. Then you have all the boring stuff. The fact that Claude can remember slightly more tokens than GPT-4o, 200,000 versus 150,000, though it's reportedly slower than GPT-4o, 109 tokens a second versus 23 tokens a second. You pay Claude about $3 for every million input tokens and $15 for every million output tokens, a tad bit more expensive than GPT-4o at about $2.50 and $10 respectively. And the $3 billion Anthropic raised in its funding round from such ethical companies like Amazon and yada yada yada. And to put the cherry on top, it also wins other benchmarks like reading and math. Claude 3 Opus scored about 86.8% on benchmarks, while OpenAI's GPT-4 came in at around 86.4%. For tougher questions that demand graduate-level reasoning, Claude pulled ahead with a score of 50.4% compared to GPT-4's 35.7%. Even on grade school math problems, Claude excelled with roughly 95%, with GPT-4 at 92%. But I mean, the real reason people are so odd about this is the coding ability, and Claude has got it down solid. And that's pretty much it. An ethical AI that can write code way better than ChatGPT can, putting software engineers all over the world one step closer to the big sad known as not having a job. It doesn't mean that ChatGPT is officially irrelevant. Anyone who wants to get answers cheaper and aren't trying to code entire games in the console or get an AI to run commands and tests for them on their local code doesn't need to use it. Claude is slower after all, and it's a bit more expensive. Makes you wonder why Amazon is investing in this company. Anyways, for all the intellectuals out there, the computer scientists, the coders, the engineers, the soon-to-be unemployed, LMAO. No, for all the people who actually need to use Claude for its specific use cases, it'll be pretty useful. Speaking of, thanks so much for all the support on the channel lately. It really means a lot, and I want to give something back to you guys. So do you need a job? That sounded a bit weird. But whether you're a UX designer, app developer, freelancer, or just a curious viewer, I want to get to know you guys, share some UX and UI tips, and maybe even get a gig. So I made a Discord channel for us and want to make this the place to be for front-end professionals. And I'm having talks with people to get some employers in there so you can connect with them too and find some jobs in the future. I'm really excited to get this thing started, so I hope you'll join me. And doubtless there will be tons of AI tools and integrations that have already come out to help you with doing that, if that's your thing. So go use the free powerhouse of a tool that is Claude, and check out this other free tool that's making over $21 million a year solely because it's free.